Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Kelly. This is a space where I like to share my passion for sewing. I am a self-taught sewist and I have been sewing since 2017. In this video, I'm going to share my makes from last month, which was June, and I'll include all the information about the patterns and sizing in the description below. So please have a look there if you're interested or if you'd like more information. If you are a fellow sewist and you enjoy sewing vlogs and seeing other people's makes, please consider subscribing so you know what I've been up to and can join me on my journey. Let's get started on my June makes. I started June very inspired by some fabric that I found. It's this fabric right behind me in this fun fish pattern. I bought it on sale and it is a cotton drill. And I decided to make something a bit more practical given that we are now in the cooler months here in Brisbane. I wanted to make something that was going to be very practical to wear in winter when I'm working from home or just when I am out and about on weekends. And I decided to make a pair of ruby overalls. The pattern is by Helens Closet. And I have made this pattern before, only once. And it was a few years ago. So I really wanted to revisit this pattern and have another try. And I am very pleased with how these turned out. I really like the wide leg style and also the elasticated waist. I think overalls with a bit of waist definition is not that common. And so this pattern is really nice and a bit more of a fresh take on overalls. I went with a size 18 as per my measurements, and I didn't grade out at the waist because I knew from the finished garment measurements that there would be enough ease for me. I did add 5 centimeters of length to the legs because I wanted a full length pant and not the slightly cropped version as they've been designed. I also didn't use the overall hardware that is an option when finishing this pattern. I decided to stick with the sewn in straps on these overalls, but maybe next time I'll try some hardware because I do find, just for ease of getting overalls on and off, that the hardware is a bit more convenient. I'm really pleased with this pattern. They're very, very comfortable overalls. I really enjoy the style of the wide leg overalls with the elastic in the back of the waist to cinch it in and give it a little bit of shape. And it's a great layering piece while still being something that can be quite warm to wear through our winters here in Queensland. One tip I have for people who are new to this pattern is that the facings for the bib front and back along the top are not equal lengths with the main fabric. This did trip me up, and I went back to my traced pattern pieces and to the original pattern pieces to compare because I did think that maybe I had traced the wrong size or made a mistake somewhere. But as it turns out, the instructions do say when stitching across the top of the bib at the front and back, once you get past the straps where they're attached, you need to pivot and sew as close to the straps and down the bodice, which then the excess fabric, which is on the main fabric and not the lining, is cut away. So that is my tip to you. Read the instructions and know that the facings are not the same size across the top of the bodice as the main fabric. The one thing I would change if I made these overalls again is the pattern matching. Normally, I don't even attempt to try any pattern matching because it's something that I am not too sure how to do, but I know if you get it wrong, it's probably more obvious. So I didn't even attempt any pattern matching in these overalls, and I slightly regret that now, because looking back, I realized that that would be very simple to do with this pattern, and it would have just had, I guess, a nicer effect across the front and back if I put some more thought and planning into pattern matching the fabric. If you've been watching along on some of my other monthly makes videos, you might have seen that I've been on a little bit of a journey with the bob pants from Style Arc. This month I did make a third attempt at making this pattern in some lovely black linen suiting that is quite heavyweight. I made one adjustment to this pair of pants based off the second pair I made last month in the blue drill. And that was to remove some of the fabric on the crotch seam from the top of the waist seam down to the first notch on the back of the pants. I removed about 1 centimeter of fabric. And while that is better, it's created a fit that is slightly better than the second pair. I've realized after wearing them a bit more that the crotch curve and crotch seam sits quite low on me where my natural waist is, and I would prefer it to sit higher. So I've got a couple of photos that I'll share with the pants on my natural waist, and then the pants pulled up higher so that the crotch curve sits where I want it to. This has made me realize that when I graded this pattern and traced it out, that I should have traced the waist height at the size 14, and that's not what I did. I traced the waist height at the size 18. So this is going to be the next adjustment that I try. I'll retrace the pattern at a waist height 14 and grade out at the side seams to the size 18. And hopefully that will give me the fit that I'm looking for, and remove some of that excess fabric around the between the waist and the crotch length. I usually don't make too many attempts of a pattern or too many twirls of a pattern when I have had this many unsuccessful makes. And they're not completely unsuccessful. They're still finished pants that somewhat fit. They just don't fit exactly the way I want them to. But I have learned from each make. I'm persevering with making these adjustments on the bob pants because they are a big favorite in the sewing community, and I see why. They have a really lovely shape and they're quite a simple make, but they also are just a very comfortable pair of casual or dressy pants, depending on what fabric you make them from. So I see the potential in this pattern, and I'm sure if I get it right with this next attempt that I will make many more pairs because they'll be very, very practical. I also purchased a pattern from Style Arc a month or two ago called the twig woven pants, which have a similar look. They have the barrel leg, and the waist band is elasticated at the back, and the front has a button and a zip closure. So I want to get all my trial and error, or most of my trial and error, out of the way on the bob pants, and then I will apply what I've learned to the twig pants and see if perhaps I can be a bit more successful in fewer twirls or makes. One other thing that I'm contemplating doing as an adjustment to the bob pants is adding about 1 inch of length to the leg. After feeling a little disappointed by my attempts at the bob pants. I moved on to a elastic waist pant pattern that I have made before a couple of times, and it's called the Vacation Vibes, and the pattern is by Pattern Emporium. I made a waist size 20 and hip size 18. I used the high rise, subtle flare, foxy pocket, and regular length. The Pattern Emporium patterns have a lot of versions or lots of different view options available within the pattern. And I used some pink fabric that was already in my stash. It was quite lightweight and has a very lovely drape. And these pants are probably a bit more suitable for wearing throughout summer rather than winter. That being said, though, I'm still very pleased with how they turned out. In June, a couple of people in my life had birthdays, and naturally I wanted to make them a handmade gift. I had some fabric in my stash and wanted to make my mum something very practical that I knew she would use, perhaps not every day, but it would get very frequent use. My mum is a wonderful cook and baker as well. She makes beautiful, beautiful food. And so I knew a apron would be very practical for mum to use in the kitchen. I made her a Sam apron, and if you've watched any of my previous videos, you will see that I have made a few Sam aprons this year. I've made myself a couple, and I did make another gift for a friend's birthday as well. I had some cotton canvas in my stash, which was very heavy weight, and so I knew it would be quite practical to use for the Sam apron. And I had some contrasting quilting cotton that I used for the patch pockets on the apron. I also intended to use the quilting fabric for the tea towel tab, but unfortunately I forgot to add those tabs in. So Mum, if you're watching, I'm sorry, you could have had tea towel tabs, but you don't. Overall, I'm really happy with how the apron turned out. It's very practical. The canvas is very sturdy, and it's just a nice kind of simple colorway that I know my mum will like. I did make view B and size 8 to 12. And then the height was 164 centimeters to 173 centimeters. And that turned out really well. I used the same cotton canvas fabric to make a couple of grocery bags to gift to my mum as well. The pattern I used was my own self-drafted pattern. I made some grocery bags back in March, and I made the same large size that I had previously made. I then decided to scale this down by 15% and make a slightly smaller size. And the reason for that is because I've been using the large size grocery bags that I made for myself. And while they are very practical and a great size, I find that I can overfill them and they do get very, very heavy. So I thought sizing the pattern down by 15% will help to not overfill a bag and make sure that it was not too heavy. The cotton canvas was very, very practical. The thing that I did different this time was to not line these bags, and I didn't use any of the structure from last time either. So instead, I used French seams throughout, and that way they would have the integrity and strength, but also a nice finish. I didn't want any raw edges visible. I definitely spoiled my mum with some lovely handmade gifts, and I know she appreciated them, and I'm really glad to give her something that is quite practical and easy to use and will hopefully be used weekly or maybe a bit more than that. We'll see. I'm waiting to hear how she goes with the grocery bags. The last item that I made in June was another gift for someone in my life who has recently turned 18. And I have made her another bestie bag, which has quickly become my TNT or tried and true pattern that is great for gifting people. It's a very, very practical size, given that it comes in the medium and the large size. There's options to suit a lot of uses. For this bag, I knew that her favorite colors were red and black, and a little while ago, I found this lovely fabric in Spotlight. I believe it's a cotton duck, and it has a red background and black cartoon style lucky cats on it with little purple bows. It's quite cute, and she is a cat lover, and so I thought that this would be right up her alley style-wise. So I made a medium size, and it was view A, and I left out the pleats. For the bag strap, I made option 3 with the hardware. For the lining on the bag, I used quilting cotton in black, and I also repeated some of the main fabric on the small internal pocket as well for a pop of colour. When I made this bag, I was under a time crunch to get it completed. The previous weekend, I had cut out the main fabric and the lining fabric, but I hadn't cut out the interfacing. And so in 4 hours, I cut out the interfacing, I stitched it to the main fabric, and then I sewed the entire bag from start to finish. And I'm not a super speedy sewer, but I think I did a really good job getting it done in just under 4 hours. Hot off the machine, I took these photos of it and then popped it in a gift bag, and we went straight out to dinner to celebrate this person's 18th birthday. And she does really love it. It's very practical for her. Yeah, it was just nice to see her smile and see her reaction when it was gifted to her as well. So once again, this month I have made quite a few items. I started with the ruby overalls from Helens Closet. And then I attempted another version of the bob woven pants from Style Arc. I made the Vacation Vibes pants. The pattern is by Pattern Emporium. And then I made some gifts for people in my life. Firstly, the Sam apron from Helens Closet Patterns. And then 2 grocery bags from a self-drafted pattern. And I finished the month with another bestie bag by BF Patterns, which has definitely become a TNT for me this year. Moving into July, I have a few more plans. And then I think inspiration will come, and we'll see where my sewing goes. But I'm definitely still trying to fill some gaps in my wardrobe, making some more pants and some more tops, and hopefully a jacket is on the cards for the future as well, because I do want some more layering pieces, things that will keep me a bit warmer this winter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.